35 manipulation tactics that you should know so you can detect them when they are used against you. Number 1. Amplification. It's a psychological warfare tactic aimed at destroying the morale of the target. The manipulator will maximize and publicize the target's mistakes and failures and minimize and privatize their successes and accomplishments. In this manner, the victim will receive less recognition for their work, filling them with doubts and insecurities. The result is the manipulator gets to be at the center of attention and the target secretly starts to want to quit. Blaming. Blaming or alloplastic defenses. Blaming is basically about avoiding responsibility and consequences of negative behavior or event, redirecting it and placing it on someone else. Blaming is effective when placed on someone with an already tarnished reputation, so keep your reputation clean. Changing the subject. The manipulator will create a diversion to change the topic of the conversation in order to avoid scrutiny, punishment, discomfort, or disclosure of information. Debasement. Looking sickly and wounded. Every time you want to start a serious conversation or ask the person a tough question, they will start to develop symptoms of sickness and fatigue. Appearing weak and unable to take part, they avoid the scrutiny. Divide and conquer. Divide e imperia in Latin. It stands for creating conflict between the forces of an enemy by spreading rumors, paranoia, giving attention to one side over the other, creating envy, jealousy, competition, or blaming one of them. Fear-mongering. Nurturing the emotion of fear in the heart and minds of others to push them to do something. The manipulator might point out an enemy, create an us versus them dynamic, manufacture an opposition, or simply knowing what a person fears the most and blowing it out of proportion. This tactic can be heightened by the unknown. We fear uncertainty the most. Guilt tripping. The manipulator targets the person's feelings of guilt, anxiety, submissive tendencies, self-doubt, and agreeableness. The guilt that was designed to stop people from committing harmful acts is now used for the benefit of the manipulator by forcing the target to do as they say. Hurt and rescue. This tactic involves playing the savior, first causing harm and damaging someone or something like a pension or property, then being the person who fixes the situation. The manipulator becomes the hero of the situation and no one suspects a thing. An extreme example is a man kidnaps his crush's child, rescues that child to gain the favor with the mother. Positive reinforcement. It's about rewarding behavior by adding something pleasurable to invoke positive associations or alter behavior to the positive. A boss might recognize someone's effort in front of the group or provide a pay raise, an annual bonus, or promotion. Anything that is considered pleasurable to the target can be used as a reward. Negative reinforcement. It's about removing a source of displeasure or discomfort from the situation to alter behavior to the positive. Some websites set their notifications to be released just when the user is more likely to leave. A person might reward an apology by being less combative. Intermittent reinforcement. The target receives the reward at irregular periods each time they perform the desired behavior. This type of reinforcement leads to addiction. Gamblers continue to play because they receive just enough rewards at reasonably satisfying intervals. This is why when you scroll in TikTok, you find good videos and bad videos. The algorithm doesn't send you the best videos always because it wants you to experience that down. That's what creates addiction. The up and down dynamic that you can also find in toxic relationships. Intimidation. Intimidation is a coercive tactic that involves threats, silence, extortion, and physical harm. Stay away from these types of people. The no contact rule stands. Isolation. Keeping a person from their family, friends, or romantic partner to control and minimize other people's impact on them. The manipulator might push the target to change the location and abandon their old life, disguising this as a mystical experience or a necessity for independence or abandonment of evil, and so on. Love bombing. bombarding the target with forms of love like flattery, imitation, words of encouragement, services, and so much more, from all sides, to give them a sense of belonging and a feeling of being wanted. It's fast, it's intense, it's calculated. Lying and denial. When forced with the facts, the manipulator would outright deny the accusations. They will lie or mix lies and truth to confuse the target. Minimization. The minimizer will downplay the negative impact of their actions on you, the importance of an event, to make your feelings look illegitimate, making a fool out of you. You will start doubting your experiences and sense of self. They might try to distort the situation and make it sound like it's not such a big deal, camouflaging an insult as a joke, for example. Mirroring. Imitating and reflecting on the other person's words, preferences, behaviors, values, and opinions to charm and lower the resistance. Read more about the courtier type, the mirror, and the seduction type, the charmer. Moving goalposts. One person keeps changing the rules or criteria of the goal or competition as it's going to keep the power. Even after providing the evidence necessary to prove a point, the manipulator keeps demanding greater evidence. Using the same principle, a boss can promise you a promotion if you achieve a task. After you do so, they change the goalpost to another task or something even more. He or she uses you, but you don't get the reward until you are over it. Name calling. Assaulting another person's identity by insulting their physical appearance, personality, disability, their family members to provoke them to commit an action or destroy their self-esteem and implode from the inside. Passive aggression. This is the use of indirect aggression to undermine someone using subtle digs, insinuation, or silence. Passive aggressives usually view anger as unproductive because they are naturally agreeable. However, that anger disguises itself as resentment. It can come in intentional forgetfulness or intentional inefficiency, and so much more. Peer pressure is the psychological pressure resulting from a group of peers that is aimed at changing one's attitudes and behaviors to conform to the ones of the group. A manipulator might surround a target with a peer group to exert such power as a boyfriend who proposes in public to ensure a yes. Playing the victim. The manipulator will act as if they are the victim of a situation or person to gain an advantage, get away from accusations of abuse, or simply to manipulate people. They might go so far as to fabricate serious evidence and get their friends to support them. Chronic pseudo-victims blame everyone but themselves and don't move away from their emotional vampirism until the people around them are spent. Rumors. Rumors can be true or false, used to target the person's reputation in how they are viewed by someone else or group. They can either enhance or destroy the person's character. Rumors are very dangerous. Scapegoating. This tactic is about pushing someone under the bus by accusing them of being the source of the problem. A sort of sacrifice. The courtier type that is known as the favorite often plays the role of the scapegoat once their presence becomes unbearable. Selective inattention. The person plays dumb like they don't understand the situation so they can get away from trouble. They will pretend like they don't comprehend your questions, they don't see the signs, or they're not invested in the ordeal. Self-disclosure. When the person reveals something about themselves to create rapport. Talleyrand, the foreign minister of Napoleon, used to do this to trigger the principle of reciprocity. He gave pseudo-secrets to gain real secrets. Setting up to fail. This one is very subtle. The manipulator will act like they want what's good for you but sabotage you in the background. They will set you up to fail, meaning they will put you in a situation they know you can't handle. You don't have the skill for it, you don't have the acumen for it, you don't have the personality for it. But they will encourage you to go for it, concealing the encouragement as motivation. Example, pushing a friend to hit on a violent man's wife. Only the target doesn't know that. Another example is creating a team with members who don't get along. in order to ensure disaster. Shaming. Shaming can be defined as an emotional device meant to play on someone's internal compass to shut down debate. In an article entitled Covert Tactics Manipulators Use to Control and Confuse You, written by Darlene Lancer, states that the shame goes beyond guilt by inflicting subtle put-downs in sarcasm to increase self-doubt in the target to get the target's sense of worth. For example, comparing someone to someone else can trigger a sense of shame. Silent treatment. Another favorite female tactic. The manipulator will not talk to the target to create pressure and heighten their sense of guilt and shame. The period of silence depends on the situation. The manipulator might even act like you don't exist. Next, spiritual legalism. Using religion and spirituality to control other people. God said this, the prophet said that. They play God or become their God's mouthpiece to encourage or discourage the behavior. Targeting insecurities. Manipulative people are constantly on the lookout for an opening, a bug to exploit, a vulnerability to feast on, or an emotion to trigger, anything that can give them an advantage. They target certain vulnerabilities ranging from naivete, emotional dependency, over-intellectualization, over-conscientiousness, low self-esteem. These are very weak traits that make the perfect victim. Triangulation. It's a manipulation tactic that involves three people and it seeks to control the conversation and make it indirect. The triangulator will not directly share info with the target but rather use another person as their mouthpiece. The target cannot argue because the main speaker is not around. It is used to create tension and conflict between the two other players. A person might bring another around their intimate relationship to create a triangle, to create jealousy. It can also be used to add credibility to their voice by choosing a credible messenger, or the triangulator can be the person in the middle controlling the flow in what both people know and hear. Withdrawal of pleasure. They will take away the things you enjoy and might demote you to ensure you get in with the program, with the agenda. Women are usually good at withholding sex to control their partners. This is also referred to as a negative punishment in operant conditioning. If you like this content, you will enjoy this video over here. How Hans Landa manipulates people.